Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we have a really interesting and intimate interview with singer Ashanti, who is opening up about her life after the birth of her first child with her longtime partner, rapper Nelly. This is a side of their relationship that the public hasn't really seen before, so I'm excited to dive in. Let's get started. Ashanti, thank you so much for joining me today. I know you value your privacy, especially when it comes to your family life, so I really appreciate you taking the time to share some of these personal details with us. Ashanti, absolutely. I'm happy to be here. You know, Nelly and I have been together for a long time, but there's still so much of our lives that the public doesn't get to see. I thought it would be good to open up a bit and give people a glimpse into what our life was like in those early days after our first child was born. That's great. I'm sure a lot of fans will be really interested to hear about that. So take me back to that time. Your first child had just been born. What was that experience like for you and Nelly? Ashanti, it was both the most amazing and most challenging time of our lives, to be honest. We were just so overjoyed to welcome this beautiful baby into the world, but at the same time, it was a huge adjustment. I don't think anything can really prepare you for how demanding and overwhelming those first few months are. And what was interesting is that Nelly and I made the decision not to have a nanny or any kind of full-time help. It was just the two of us taking care of the baby. Really? That's quite unusual for celebrities of your stature. What made you decide to go that route? Ashanti, you know, it was a very conscious choice for us. Nelly and I both grew up in very hands-on, involved families. Our parents were always there for us, you know, doing everything themselves. And we just really wanted to have that same experience with our own child. We wanted to be the ones changing diapers, feeding the baby, doing all of those little things. Of course, our families were there to support us and help out when we needed it. But for the most part, it was just the three of us figuring it all out together. And it was hard. Don't get me wrong, there were many nights where we were both exhausted and wondering what we'd gotten ourselves into. But it was also so incredibly rewarding. That must have been such an intimate, bonding experience for you as new parents. What was a typical day like in those early weeks? Ashanti, it was honestly just a whirlwind, laughs, from start to finish. We'd be up at all hours, feeding the baby, trying to get them to sleep, doing endless loads of laundry. I remember Nelly and I would tag team everything. He'd take the night shift, I'd take the day shift, and then we'd switch off. We didn't get much sleep, but we made it work, and in between all of that, we'd just sit and stare at our baby in awe, you know? It was such a precious, special time for us. We'd take little walks around the house, sing to them, just really soak up every moment. It was exhausting, but it was also the happiest we'd ever been. That sounds so lovely. I'm sure a lot of new parents can relate to that experience. Did you ever feel like you were in over your heads at all? Ashanti, oh, absolutely. Laughs, there were definitely times when we were both just completely overwhelmed. I remember one night when the baby was crying inconsolably, and Nelly and I were both pacing the floor, trying everything we could to calm them down. We just looked at each other and were like, what are we doing? Laughs, but you know, we'd take a deep breath, tag team it, and figure it out. And I think that's what really got us through, just being there for each other, supporting each other, and knowing that we were in it together. It was a learning curve for sure, but we tackled it as a team. That's so great that you and Nelly were able to navigate those challenges together. It must have really strengthened your bond as a couple. Ashanti, absolutely. I think going through that intense, sleep-deprived, diaper-changing chaos together definitely brought us closer. There's nothing that can quite prepare you for parenthood, but we were there for each other every step of the way. And I think that's why we have such a strong foundation as a family. Well, Ashanti, thank you so much for sharing these intimate details about your life as new parents. It's clear that you and Nelly have a very special relationship, and I'm sure your fans will appreciate you opening up like this. Parenthood is such a profound experience, and it's wonderful to hear how you and Nelly navigated it together in those early days. Thank you again for your time, and we wish you and your family all the best. Ashanti, thank you. It was my pleasure. I'm glad I could share a bit of our story. Parenthood is absolutely life-changing, but with the right partner by your side, it's the most rewarding journey you can embark on. I hope this gives people a glimpse into our world and maybe even inspires others to take on that challenge themselves. Thanks again for having me.